I don't know about you guys, but I am itching to get my hands on the Nintendo Switch 2. And while Nintendo is holding events to get a first look at the device starting in April, across the world, the closest one to me is 1,076 miles away. So I've accepted the fact that I will not get my hands on this thing till it launches. But when will that be? Nintendo will have a dedicated direct for the Switch 2 in April, where they will most likely give us a launch date. But do you really want to wait that long? I can give you a launch date right now.
But Ryan, why would I want to know when it launches if I don't even know what games it will launch with or what it will cost me?
Okay, those are both great questions. So this is what I will do. I will tell you what games, the price point, and then finally, as promised, I will tell you when I think this thing will launch. And it will be well worth the wait, because I have come up with an exact date this console will launch. First, what games will launch with the Nintendo Switch 2? Here's the good news. The Switch 2 is backwards compatible with Switch 1 games. Mostly everything Nintendo has released and everything they will release up to the console's launch, you will be able to play on the Nintendo Switch 2. What about something new though? Well, the most obvious answer is the new Mario Kart. That is the only piece of software that Nintendo has showed off so far. But that's a boring answer. So let's get speculative. I believe we will see Metroid Prime 4 on launch. While this also feels like a slightly obvious answer, we do not have a confirmed date besides 2025. The way this game looks from its most recent trailer looks like it was designed for the Switch 2's more powerful hardware. And I mean, this thing was announced almost 8 years ago, so it's about time we got it in our hands. No better time than the launch of this console. What else will we see? First party wise, I don't think we will see a lot other than that. I think it is safe to assume that we'll get a game that shows off the new hardware features. A game that's akin to 1-2-Switch, Nintendo Land, Wii Sports. You know, a pretty typical Nintendo launch title. We are missing the big two, that being a 3D Mario or a Zelda title. If not at the launch of the console, we usually see one of these titles shortly after. So will we see either at launch? Regarding The Legend of Zelda, there is a possibility we see some sort of representation at launch. However, I do not think we'll get a large-scale Zelda title for a couple of years. It has been long rumored and speculated that the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess would come to the Switch, so perhaps we see one or both of those titles come to the Switch too. As for 3D Mario, it's only a matter of time before we get our hands on a new game. However, I don't think we'll see it at launch. But do not fret. I believe that there is a 3D Mario game almost ready, if not completed for the Switch 2, and we will see it shortly after the launch of the console. Think closer to the holiday season. So that covers first party releases. How about third party titles? This is going to be quite speculative, but I promise I have a good feeling about these next titles. And these are some of the bigger titles I expect. I'm sure we'll get a wide variation of many games. I'm going to start off big here. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. Two titles that were originally PS5 exclusives now have PC ports. Not only that, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was just recently Steam Deck certified. As we've seen in the past, Square has no issues bringing their games to the Switch. It's just a matter of whether or not the hardware is powerful enough to handle their games. The fact this game already runs decently on the Steam Deck tells me that they would have no problem putting it on the Switch too. Enough about Square Enix though. Let's talk about Microsoft. I believe Microsoft has something interesting in store. You may not know, but Nintendo and Microsoft have long publicly talked about having a closer relationship. Is this the generation we see that? I think so. And that starts by putting the Master Chief Collection on the Nintendo Switch 2. I know it may seem completely unrealistic, but listen, Microsoft has been branching out recently with their This Is an Xbox campaign, so this is more likely to happen than you may even realize. Now, this doesn't confirm anything about Halo coming to the Switch, but it shows that Xbox is obviously committed to bringing their games to multiple devices. I don't see what's stopping them from putting Halo on the Nintendo Switch, especially an older game like the Master Chief Collection that has a larger player base, but those that want to play it on the Xbox or PC already own it. Now, this next game, I will say I'm completely pulling all of this out of thin air. I have little to no evidence backing this up. This is a straight up, hopeful, wishful prediction. Alright, here it goes. Nintendo Switch 2, on launch, Hollow Knight Silk Song. Just think about how crazy that would be. It's been in development for so long, with so little news. At the very least, it's time to hear something about it. There is no better time to shadow drop it than the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. That could be the big indie game for that console. I think it would do extremely well and be great for indie representation on the Nintendo Switch 2. Those are some of the games I expect to see. I guess some of them is more of a hope than expect, but you get the point. What about the price? How much is it going to cost to pick one of these up? Before we get into that though, go ahead and leave a like since you've made it this far, and consider subscribing to support more content like this. Thank you. Now, there have been a lot of numbers thrown around, some as high as 500 USD, some as low as 300 USD. I believe the answer lies somewhere in the middle. If you look online, the general consensus on this seems to be around the $400 mark. That price would put it $100 more than a Switch 1 and $50 more than an OLED Switch. I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. There are certain benchmarks and hardware specs I expect to see at a $400 price point. For comparison, the base Steam Deck will run you $400 plus taxes, shipping, etc. And there's not really an issue when it comes to playing AAA games. I mean, it's not going to be on ultra settings, but it's still super serviceable. If Nintendo is launching this thing at $400, I expect to see a console that rivals the Steam Deck. Not to deflate anyone's expectations, but until they show me otherwise, I do not see this performing better than a Steam Deck. Although, I am ready to be happily surprised. Realistically, I believe this is what we're going to see. The Nintendo Switch 2 will cost $350. Nintendo will also offer a bundle that includes a game and 6 months of Nintendo Switch Online. That will cost 400 USD. You might be thinking, that seems kind of low and pretty optimistic. But if you do not already know, game developers typically will take a loss on hardware sales to push their software. Meaning Nintendo will sell the Switch 2 at a price point lower than what it costs to manufacture the device. And if the concept of this device is it's a more powerful Switch that is backwards compatible with Switch 1 games, they will have no issue selling software. Perhaps that's overly optimistic, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Enough about the price. When can we finally get our hands on this thing? As stated before, there is a Nintendo Direct dedicated to the Switch 2 scheduled in April. So it'll definitely be after then. Then shortly after that starts what I'm going to call the Switch 2 World Tour. Basically, Nintendo is going to hold a couple events in major cities where you can sign up and get your hands on the console. This is done to create hype and start developing word of mouth for the console. According to Nintendo's website, these events start in April and run all the way up to June 1st. I believe this means we will not see the device till after June 1st. But we are getting closer to the launch date answer. Let's go back to 2016. The Switch was announced on October 20th. Then in the following year, it was officially released, March 3rd on a Friday. That is about 5 months later. I believe that Nintendo will follow a similar time frame for the Switch 2's release. So, we had the reveal on January 16th. 5 months from now puts us at June. Now, taking all the information we now know, the direct date, the dates on the hands-on events, and the time frame of the Switch 1's release, I can give you an exact date. Are you ready? The Nintendo Switch 2 will launch Friday, June 20th, 2025. Bookmark it. While the launch date seems so far away, I promise it'll be here in no time. And I can't tell you how excited I am for it. In the meantime, let me know how you feel about my predictions down below. And tell me, what are your ideas for the games, pricing, and even the launch date for this console? Subscribe for more, and as always, thank you so much for watching.